We're here with Dan Horan to talk about the induction of the class of 2026. Dan, we're friends with Justin Strzelczyk, one of this year's inductees who's being inducted posthumously. How do you know Justin? What did you play football with him, against him, coming up through high school that time?
No, neither. Tom, I actually played basketball against Justin in 7th and 8th grade.
Okay. And then you just kind of maintained a relationship with him through his years as he advanced. He was a standout at Weston basketball, but then really flipped to football. Not till the college is when he really took off with that, right?
He did. He was a great basketball player. He was fun to play with. He had a great attitude. And in football, as I've said before, he was, I would say, an average football player. Played tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, and safety. Never played really on the line. And then his senior year, he made first team all West New York at a safety position at 6'6", 190 pounds.
That's a tall safety. Quarterback can't get the ball over that when you're throwing those passes. And then he went up to Maine, and that's where he kind of converted his alignment, right?
His freshman year, from what I remember, he went there. He really put a lot of time in the weight room. A lot of meals, a lot of protein shakes. His freshman year, he reported at 235 as a tight end.
Right.
Went back his sophomore year, 245 as a tight end. Did really well. I think he split time at tight end, so he was getting a lot of time. And then his junior year, he reported back at 265, and they said, we need help on the defensive line. And they loved his aggressiveness. He was a very aggressive football player, so he ended up moving to defensive end. His junior year, his senior year, I want to say he was 280. So he just progressively gained weight every year at the University of Maine.
Well, it's good that he didn't stay with tight end, because he still wouldn't have been the most famous tight end to ever come out of Western New York. Anyway, as we come to find out later, but then he caught the eye of Chuck Noll, right? The great coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if Chuck Noll catches your eye, you catch Chuck Noll's eye, that means something. And he went and played down in Pittsburgh. And talk about you knowing him as a friend and watching him grow and develop, but then make it to the largest stage in football to play in the NFL, and what that meant for him and his family.
He was a second. I can't remember how the draft went then. It was 12 rounds.
Yeah.
He did say he was going to go he had an agent. He said, my agent thinks I'll go between the 6th and the 7th round. So he was locked in for day 2 maybe. And we were talking. I was down in Huntington, West Virginia. He was in Orono, Maine. And he had told me that his third day gave up, and I think he was changing the oil in his apartment building on his truck, and his roommate ran out and said, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the phone, because back then they were landlines.
Yeah, right, sure, right.
And he had to run up to his apartment, and it was Chuck Noll, and he said, hey, Justin, we're really thinking of drafting you. We really like your aggressiveness, and we think you're going to be a good athlete. And he said, oh my, thank you so much, Chuck. Excuse me, Coach.
Coach, right.
And he did tell me that Coach Noll told him at the time, hey, you're not going to play on the defensive line. We're going to move you the offensive side of the ball. We think you have really good feet and you could learn it. And this is well before the movie. He did state, he said to me later on, I told him, Coach Noll, I will be your water boy. Just bring me in camp. And he wanted to be on the field so bad.
Right.
That that's what he stated to Coach Noll on the phone. And he'd be willing to be the water boy. Just get me in camp.
And that's kind of the attitude that he had, and what makes you better. Like you said, through college he progressed. He kept working at it, putting on weight. He just wanted to be involved in it, and then to make it to the Steelers. And the Steelers, too, just touch on that if he ever talked to you about it. With all due respect to every NFL team, the Steelers are one of those teams. They've won Super Bowls. They have a legacy. Chuck Noll's a legacy. It's not like getting drafted by the Tennessee Titans, with all due respect to the Titans. But the Steelers are one of those teams in the NFL that you look to as an anchor team, right? And that's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, I mean, when he was coming up, there was Tunch-Ilkin. There was Mike Webster. I mean, these were legitimate linemen in the NFL, all-pro. Even the Wolfleys,
right. Craig,
the Wolfley brothers. Craig played at Pittsburgh and was a stalwart. And actually, Justin was able to get that number. He got Craig's number 73. And I remember him telling me they were in training camp. And he felt he wasn't doing as well as he could have. He said, I think I'm just a body. I think they just brought me in as a body. I'm seeing other people here as bodies, but I'm gonna do the best I can to stay on board. And then it was about 3 weeks later, he was able to talk on a payphone, and we had a conversation. And he said, "I made the team. I can't believe it. I made the team." And I said, "How'd you do? Did you figure it out?" He goes, "No. Coach Noel told me, Strzelczyk, you unofficially set the fighting record in camp." He had 11 fist fights. And he said, "We never had anyone fight so hard to get a spot on the team, and you literally did that." And he said that Coach Noel told him that he fought so hard because a lot of people look down on him. Being 11th round draft choice from University of Maine, and so other players would look down on him. And he was progressing to where he was frustrating other players. And then he said, if they started to get lippy with me, I just started fighting. I fought him, and I wanted to be noticed, and he did.
Well, most people can't relate to that, but the movie Rudy, it's the same idea, right? Here's a kid that doesn't belong there, and he would start fights, and the players look down upon him until after he gained their respect. But same idea, right? Obviously, he's not Rudy; he's much bigger and deserved to be there. But the same idea is that an 11th round draft pick may not feel like they belong there. And so, in playing for the Steelers again, great organization. He gets to play in a Super Bowl, and did he talk to you about that and what that was like? And even though they lost, they won the AFC Championship, they lost to the Cowboys. But that's got to be unbelievable for a kid from Western New York to go play in the Super Bowl.
1995, they played in the Super Bowl. It was wonderful. I was so happy for him. And again, it's his generous personality towards everyone. I remember him telling me, "Hey, I have a hotel. I have your ticket. Please come." And I didn't want to go. I wanted his family to go. And I felt that even though we were best friends, that his family should go. And I ended up not going. But what I really remember about that season, I went down to Pittsburgh for so many games. And that year he started 4 different positions. He started left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard, which is so unusual in the NFL.
Right.
So that season he played all 4 positions other than center. He started every game up until and in the AFC Championship game, in which they won. I feel that if my memory serves me correct, he made the All Madden team, which was really, really cool because John Madden had his own team, which was really your rough and tumble lunchbox guys, the guys that just wanted to play football and didn't have the glamour or anything like that. But it was hard because he was promised he was going to start in the Super Bowl. I think he played the first or second series, and then he didn't get in again. That was a little tough, but again, he was a team player. He was happy for his team, even though they lost. But I remember when they won, he was I was with his father, Mr. Strzelczyk, and he brought us in, and we brought us in Three River Stadium. Like, he brought us in the family section. We got to get on the elevator. He brought us to the locker room. I got to touch the AFC Championship trophy. But I remember Hannah Storm and Mike Ditka were on the elevator, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's Hannah Storm from NBC," and Mike Ditka. And Ditka turns and he grabs Justin's hand. He goes, "Hey, Strzelczyk, great game." And it was Mike Ditka. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." There were so many people who knew who he was. And at that point in 1995, I remember looking at my best friend like, "Wow, this man has arrived."
Yeah, that's outstanding, and a great NFL career. And sadly, the time after his career, not really well. And what really became the first kind of diagnosed CTE case that they, after all this year, and there's been so much change in the NFL and trying to move towards that. But what a tragedy for something back then that we didn't know about, and he passed in a tragic accident. But that had to be terribly difficult for you, for his family, to watch that kind of decline for him and his health, and just, you don't have to go too far into it, but just talk about, seeing that and now understanding what the NFL's talks about doing around CTE and head injuries and that type of thing.
Well, going back to maybe the early 90s when he was drafted, and it would probably every offseason, February. And Tom, I knew this specifically about you because you would come into Mud McGrath and I worked the door, and in the offseason, Justin came in, and I know he got to know you over probably a few Labatt Lights.
Maybe. Yeah, sure. Maybe.
But he would always come in, and that was Justin because he would come to South Buffalo, New York. He never forgot his roots, and he would just come in and he wanted to be a normal guy, and quite literally would sit down with everyone who was there. He loved Bishop Timon guys, even though he went to West Seneca West.
Right.
But he would always spend the time to talk to people. And the reason why I'm saying it this way is because as his season progressed and it went to great heights, it ended very abruptly. He hurt his knee really bad against Kansas City. Then he injured again, feeling that he could rehab, but he ended up doing the wrong thing. He started to play in a men's open hockey league. And again, Tom, but I remember you growing up playing hockey. And I don't know if you played in the open rink at Cavs, but Justin was in that league. I think you were too, if I'm correct.
I may have played back then.
So he injured it in what he was hoping would be rehab. So it never got back to where it should have. So his career ended. The Steelers bought him out. He did try to latch on with the Buffalo Bills when Tom Donahoe came to the Bills. Tom really liked him a lot, brought him in. But at that time, he'd already there were some things going on in his life. He was trying acting. He was really trying to slim down. I think he got down to about 265, 270. He was trying a lot of things, and nothing was really grabbing, meaning he couldn't sink his teeth in any specific career because all he really knew was football. Football is really what made his career, made his money, made his family. And it just wasn't, it didn't end the way he wanted it to.
Yeah. And that's, he becomes a groundbreaking individual for a terrible reason, but the one that really kind of opens the door and sheds a light on that awful, CTE is an awful after effect of head injuries and that type of thing. So thanks for that incredible insight. Now you have a couple times have mentioned his family, and I know you've been great in helping us prepare for the Hall of Fame dinner, but you've been in touch with his family, and talk a little bit about their reaction when they got the call that we were going to put Justin into the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame, and posthumously, of course, but what's the reaction? What are they thinking about it? How are they looking forward to the dinner and kind of all those things?
It's wonderful. I'm getting goosebumps as I talk to you about this because my life is already busy enough, but this has been something that's really helped complete everything about maybe the rumors about Justin, about his children who are forgotten, his only living sibling, Melissa, because his brother passed away very young. His dad passed away in a car accident. His mom died of cancer. So the Strzelczyk name, which was at one time pretty big here in Western New York, is really no more. So when I had reached out, obviously from you and Mr. Haney and other people from the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame, my first call and texts were to Justin Jr. and to Melissa, his sister, who now lives in Pittsburgh, and she has since Justin moved there years and years ago. But for me, it's been a great reconnection to his sister, Melissa, she's a wonderful woman, very soft-spoken. We've joked about it on the phone. She's like, Dan, I'm such an introvert. And I said, it's okay, Melissa, but you have to come. And she's so excited about coming. She's been kind of blowing up my phone. It's been real fun. She's texting me a lot. I've reconnected with Justin Jr., who's my godson. So that makes me feel really, really good. Justin Jr., in turn, is connected with my son, Aiden, who, when Justin passed away, Justin Jr. was 9, my son was 2. They didn't really know each other.
Sure.
And now they've gotten to know each other, and hey, I'm going to be in Boston. Okay. And so it's been wonderful. And then just this past weekend, his daughter Sabrina reached out asking what time of day was my dad born. And I said, I just don't have that answer. Like, we were friends, but we weren't that close. But I said, if you can get your dad's birth certificate, sure, it does state date of birth. And she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And it's just been so good. And I'm so excited. I'm going to be hosting them at my house for the weekend of the Hall of Fame. So for every member who's going in, it must be a wonderful feeling for family members, former teammates, etc. But for me, it's a reconnection to a family that ever since he died, I didn't have much of a connection. His ex-wife had married and gone a different direction, and good for her. But I love the fact that I'm communicating with Sabrina. I talk to Justin Jr. Weekly. I talk to Melissa weekly. And it's been great. And I appreciate the fact that you all have not forgotten a great name in Buffalo. And circling back to Rob Gronkowski, who was the greatest tight end ever. Could you imagine if Justin was still alive and he and Rob Gronkowski just talking about life? I'd be a fly on the wall and I'd pay money to hear that conversation about two great Western New York athletes. But those personalities, because Justin did have that personality before Rob Gronkowski. Rob's probably a lot better looking, but they both had this personality. And the fact that when Justin, he came to visit Mud McGrath and he made friends with your whole group of Brian, Dennis Sands, Brian Carney, all that. I remember you all talking in the bar, those are all good memories. But even leaving a game at Pittsburgh, all the big stars back then, and I'm just going to call, like I see, like Neil Donahoe or some of the players would just want to get in their cars and leave. Justin would come out in ripped jeans, a flannel shirt.
Right. Yeah.
To this day, I still remember a little cigarette in his ear, and people are like, "Can we have your autograph?" He's like, "Sure, hold on." And he'd light a cigarette. And he'd just walk and he'd sign autographs. The next thing you know, we were hanging out with people post-game tailgating, and we would do that till 9:30 at night. And I'm talking about a 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock game. But that's who he was. He just loved people, and he realized that the fans are who paid his paycheck, and he didn't forget where he came from.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you mentioned Mike Webster. There's not a bigger lineman in the history of the NFL as a guy like Mike Webster. So he's in with that group of people, and to be compared to those people, that's phenomenal. And Dan, thank you for your time today. We look forward to seeing you and Justin's family at the dinner on September 24th here for the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Thanks for your time, and congratulations to you as Justin's friend, and send our congratulations to Melissa as well. We'll see her soon enough.
I will let them know that. Tom, always good seeing you. You look great, by the way. So good seeing you, and thank you for your time.
Be well.